Here we are again, folks. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We're going to be talking today for a little bit about our Supreme Court. Our Supreme Court was set up by the United States of America, which was founded and based upon the Holy Bible. Now, it's called the Holy Writ by some, and it's been put on the side temporarily in the United States of America. Yet it was our basis for our Constitution. It was our basis for our first president. When George Washington took his first oath, he laid his hand on the Bible, and he swore his oath with his hand on the Bible, pledging his allegiance to the United States of America, and at the same time pledging his allegiance that he would run the United States of America through this Word, the Word of God, which is the Bible. When he proceeded and finished, when at his last thing he did, is he bent down and he kissed the Bible. They adjourned from there and went to a meeting in the hall that is still there, I believe, and went over there and had a meeting and prayed to God and said, God, guide us, lead us, give us your guidance. And they set up days in the United States of America. In the Constitution is set up a time for man to fast and pray, a time for him to give allegiance to the Supreme Being, which is the God of heaven. And that's what this country was based on. The Bible was the rock in which the Republic resists. It rests on that. It rests on that. Now is being resisted, but the word was rest. And President Andrew Jackson, on June 8th in 1845, gave us a picture of what the American Christian Constitutional Federal Republic. Now, when you put the word Christian in, there are many, many people today who are unchristian. They're not Christian in the sense of following God. They follow their rules that they make in things as a Christian would follow the Bible. And they follow them ardently, and they refute everything that is true Christian. Now, representation, that is quite a word. If you look it up, it is a word that goes along pages, and then we find out that we have a separation, which is a dual form of a union. We have the union, we have property, and we have self-government. Propriety, and we have self-government. Now, knowledge, virtue, morality, faith, religion, and Bible were all written in to our pillow of the United States of America. Religion and morality are essential. They are an essential pillow of society. George Washington wrote that little line in 1797. This is what he wrote: religion, morality are essential for the pillars of society. Listen to what Samuel Adams wrote in 1779. If virtue and knowledge are diffused among the people, they will never be dissolved. They will never be dissolved. You will never have anything dissolved if you don't have this knowledge and this virtue. In your faith, moral excellence and in your moral excellence, knowledge, and in your knowledge, self-control. 2 Peter 1, 5 through 6 tells us about this being the thing that we need to do. And we need to have that in our life. If we do not have that in our life, we would put away the first recognition of our Supreme Court. Court stated that by our form of government, we had a form of government that we started back then when George Washington took his oath in 1789. We started a form of government which he started that was based on Christian religion in the established religion of the United States of America. All other religions, as we can see with our naked eye, in this day, the day of 2016, we can look at other religions where they have come to. They have come to murder, they have come to anarchy, they have come to might makes right, they have come to, if you don't follow our religion, we believe we should kill you. And we've allowed that to come into the United States. This is not just was, this is a Christian nation. People that come here should come under our Constitution. They should come under the first principles of a Christian nation. Actually, you don't have a right to call yourself a citizen of the Supreme Court if you're not Christian. You don't really have a right to be a judge in the Supreme Court if you're not a Christian. One of the qualifications of being a Supreme Court judge was that you were a Christian, based your answers out of what the Bible said. You based your answers out of Christian morality, out of what God said, not what man said. Now we have strayed so far in our court that we have gone to where we don't even use the word Christian in our court anymore. They have deemed it to be they actually, believe it or not, many of the justices consider it a hate word because it's a word of separation. But if we don't have words of separation, how are we going to separate anything? You mix everything in a hodgepodge and you've got problems. If you're not allowed to separate things, that means if you're making a stew and this one little thing over here says poison on it, and you say, well, I can't separate things. I mean, the Supreme Court says we can't separate things, so I got to throw some of this in there. So you throw it in there and you eat the thing and you're dead. And this is the way we are in the United States today. We are a dead nation when it comes to Christianity. Our justices do not believe that God is the supreme being. They have come to the place where they believe they are the supreme being and they are the top of the line and they have a right to annul what God has put in place. And they do not have a right to do that. In 1892, the Church of the Holy Trinity of the United States and the U.S. Supreme Court declared this. Now this is the Church and the Supreme Court declaring this, that many other matters which might be noticed. They're bringing in many other matters, and they're bringing it in with the Constitution and the Church, these matters. And let me see where I am here. And many other matters which might be noticed. Add the volume of unofficial declaration to the mass of organic utterance that this is a Christian nation. This is a Christian nation. When you go to the dictionary and look up this word, organic, the word they used, the Supreme Court judges used this word. And this word means it is a natural thing. It is a natural thing for this nation to be a Christian nation. Because under God, we were founded as this nation. We separated from a monarchy. We separated ourselves. We fought. We lost lives. We had war. We did many things. We had wars of words, wars of physical wars, and separated from a monarchy to a Christian nation. The Illinois Supreme Court ruled in Richmond in 1883 by Moore, our laws and our institution must necessarily be based upon the embodied and the teaching of the Redeemer of mankind. It is impossible that it should be otherwise in the sense and this extend. Our civilization and our institutions are emphatically Christian. The word Christian is not a bad word. The word Christian means Christ-like. We had a man walk on this earth a couple thousand years ago, 2016 years ago. He was such a man that our calendar was set up upon his date of birth. That we have a calendar. We are 2016 years after divinity. What was divinity? Divinity was the man, Jesus Christ, who walked on this earth, who back in just a few hundred years ago, there was a group of people that lived on this soil, in this country, that believed that he was a supreme being. And he still is, by the way. Whether the Supreme Court justices recognize him or not, or believe in him, he's still there, and it's still true. You can claim anything you want and it not be true. You can claim it, and you can believe it, and I don't know how you can sleep at night. I don't know how one of those Supreme Court justices could possibly sleep at night that are passing down everything to try to destroy the United States of America. And we have other nations have come in, and other Supreme Court justices. If we get an immoral, ungodly new justice in at our present state that we're in right now, we can look for Katie bar the door. Us people, you know that I myself right now, and perhaps you are too, in our country, our own country. This is the country of the United States of America. I was born here. I was a free American up until just a little while ago. And our freedoms are being taken away from us. One of these days, I'm not going to be able to get on this YouTube and even talk about this, what I'm talking about right here. I'm talking about the beginning of the United States. I'm reading documents. These are documents in front of me I'm reading. 1952, the U.S. Supreme Court said, we are a religious people whose institutions presuppose a supreme being. The court upheld our national motto as constitutional, 1979, as well as the chaplains in the legislative branch of the government, 1983. All the way up to 1983, we still had chaplains in the United States government who could freely say that the Bible was the Word of God, that it is the supreme book, that it is the book, it's the foundation of our founding fathers. The words that are written in it are constitutionally sound as well as spiritually sound. They were a way of life. The virtue, the learning, the piety These words are found throughout our official documents of statement of our founders. Sometimes they are called morality. This is what our Supreme Court justices have left out of their own life. Morality. We have got to have morality if we are going to have what we need. Now, like I say, these were in the documents of the Founding Fathers. Sometimes they call morality knowledge, religion, such as our Founding Fathers in the Northwest Ordinance are called religion, meant Christianity, meant morality, meant Christian character, meant knowledge, meant a Bible worldview. These were constitutionally emphasized by our Founding Fathers. Now listen to this word, indispensable. I have a book right here. This book is a book of knowledge. This is the kind of book that comes from the Supreme Court. And this is what the Supreme Court says this word means. Indispensability. This is the quality or state of being indispensable. Listen, our Constitution was written as an indispensable piece of paper. We do not have a right to change it or dispense with one word in it or one line in it. It was originally designed for us, and it was not subject to change. It is indispensably unchangeable. Listen to this. This is right out of this dictionary, encyclopedia. To invent, to be disputed, undoubtedly true, certain, unquestionable. If you are an American, the Constitution of the United States is unquestionable. This is a word. Unquestionable is an inexhaustive word. You can't exhaust it on many things. It is unquestionable that I was born. It's unquestionable that I was born September 13, 1941. Where's the proof, Brother Peter? You're looking at it. I am the proof that I was born. It's an unquestionable, undeniable, unchangeable, unerasable. You can't change the fact that here I am, this person, Peter Hutchins, walked on this earth since 1941. Just like the Constitution of the United States from 1776 till today is an unchangeable piece of paper. It was written in that piece of paper that it was unchangeable, that it was indispensable. It is an indispensable fact that George Washington was the first president of the United States. Can't be changed. Can't go back and change it. I don't care what anybody says, what anybody does. I don't care what. If they want to leave him out of the history books, which some have, they've left him out of the history book. They've left the history out of the history books. And they've put supposition in the history books. We have history books today that our young people are learning that are supposition. They're not fact. They're not fact. And so we need to be careful. It does follow indispensability that the balance is correct. The balance is correct. We could go to the Scientific America. If we go to Scientific America and read what they say, everything that has took place from the day that this country was founded up until a certain point, like in 1983, we started seeing a shift. We started seeing some liars A person who doesn't tell the whole truth is a liar. A person who would omit part of the truth is a liar. And when he writes it down and writes it down as fact, and it's not fact, it is a lie. And that man should be X'd out, and everything thereon, or thereby that he says after that, should be X'd out. Now, if we have a Supreme Court justice who tells an untruth, a half-truth, or a lie, the other justices who are up there should set him aside and say, "Sir, ma'am, you are in error. And if you continue that error, we, the Supreme Court, have the right to have you barred from being on the Supreme Court." This is supposedly the true court. The true court. And if it's not, then it's not. So we cannot pass on a lie as law, which is what's happening today in our world. Indispensability, not dissolvable. Indispensability, it can't be dissolved. We cannot dissolve the Constitution of the United States. They are taking amendment after amendment after amendment after amendment. If we could start and X out that First Amendment to the Constitution after it was signed, delivered as a fact, as the final act, and we follow it all the way through and don't stray from it, not one jot, not one tittle, not one period, not one cross of the T. This was a United States fact that we were founded upon. It didn't need to be changed. All our forefathers lived by it. All the children lived by it. When the Puritans came to this country and landed on this land, they used the Bible for the textbook. I have a book here that has a test in it. And this test, I can hand it to half a dozen college kids right now and say, "Do this test." And every single one of them will fail it. And then when you read at the bottom the narration of this test, it was a 5th grade test. Back in 1800, it was a 5th grade test, and we don't have a college student today that can do that test and pass it. What has happened? We have slipped, we have gone, we have constitutionally amended our Constitution out of its original place. All we'd have to do, my friends, is get back to it. One thing we could get back to is have an honesty come out of the Supreme Court. And we're in the place to where that needs to happen. A dissolvability that cannot be discredited. Our Constitution cannot be discredited. There is no country in this world with a piece of paper, a